and find a focus of the study. And that's the period of time where I had a baby. So that time I needed my parents' support each time I needed to travel, because as you saw, I live in Mauritius, but my university was in South Africa. So I had to travel at least twice a year for conferences, etc. So my parents were very supportive in helping me look after the child. Mm-hmm. So that's important as well.
So how tough it was? Tell us about it. Like how challenging, finding the university was, and well, the research process must have been very, very tough.
Okay, there were different levels of toughness. So the first one was to get accepted, and there I had to do all the formalities, and the fact that I was here in Mauritius and everything was happening there, all the communications were via email. So there was a lot of waiting to do for formalities, and then do the qualifications, pass through the qualifications authority with degrees from Mauritius and so on. And then starting was really like, okay, you want to do a PhD, you have a broad idea, okay, you want to do research on a specific aspect. But then this is not what the research is about. It's really to go deep, to find a focus, to find the area. There's a way of thinking, a way of presenting facts, and a way of writing things. So, but that was possible, I thanks to my supervisors. I had amazing supervisors, experienced people who could guide me through the process. And another obstacle that I found is that initially I wanted to study school groups on field trips, like this when students go on excursion from school. But the big hurdle that I found is that I didn't get permission from the ministry to go ahead with this. And I, as a researcher, not as an employee of the ministry, but as a researcher, it is something that I have to highlight. Mm-hmm. And it's time to do something about it. And then I couldn't have done 1 year of research and then stop here. So one way of addressing that, I said, okay, I have certain aspects of the study. I wanted to study learning. I wanted to study biodiversity. And I wanted to study young people. So at that time, my good friend, who is a scout leader and engaged in youth groups. So that's how I moved, like my participants, I chose a scout group during their excursions to the nature reserve. So, I mean, that's research. You find problems and challenges, and you need to find a way to overcome.
True. All right. So yeah, shall we go to your PhD research presentation or anything that you have prepared for us?
Okay. So do you want me to go with the
let us go with the title itself.
Okay. So this is the title. I investigated situational interest and learning of biodiversity. So it's a case study of students' experience of a visit to a nature reserve. So now, why is it important? Like, why do we need to study interest and learning of biodiversity? And I'm going to start by telling you a real life story. Actually, it's a disaster that happened in Mauritius 2 years ago while I was completing my writing. We had a shipwreck near the shore of Mauritius, and there were oil spill in the lagoon. And it was in a critical situation, and the biodiversity around the area of my study was threatened with oil spills all around this nature reserve, which has got a lot of endemic and rare species. And there was a lot of measures that had to be taken for protecting the biodiversity. But we also saw a lot of community involvement, because this is an area where a lot of people get their livelihoods through fishing. So when we think about biodiversity, it's also about society and economic development. And these people volunteer to manufacture booms, to contain the oil spills. And people protested, the massive community protest, because they were not satisfied with government measures and livelihood were threatened. And so it's like an ecological disaster, but with economic, political, and societal implications. So that's how biodiversity concerns like everyone. It's not just the affair of ecologists. And like the title said, the focus of the study was about informal learning. So whatever is informal learning is everything that you learn without a structured environment. So whatever you study, whatever you learn on TV, on your social interactions, museums, zoos, and botanical gardens. So that's the field. And these were the three aspects, the focus: biodiversity, learning, and situational interest. So what is interest and its relationship to education? So actually, it's a central concept in education, because we want people to be interested, because interest is what motivates further learning. And in an era like in Mauritius, where students are not really interested in going into science. So it's the role of science centers and museums, like biology education is very much in decline, with a very low number of students opting for biology. So it's kind of critical. And we want students to be interested in biology. So interest in education is very important, because it specifically determines future participation in science-related activities, and also perseverance in times of learning difficulties, in the face of challenges, etc. And when we speak about interest, so it's like subdivided between situational interest is something which is momentary, immediate, and which can be triggered. And there is individual interest, which is something of a longer lasting, and it kinds of becomes embedded in the identity of the person. And the focus was mostly on situational interest. And studies have found that elements like surprise, social involvement, novelty, challenge, beauty, cognitive activation are the factors that trigger interest. So I'll just stop here and then we continue.
Yeah, please.
Yeah. So that's a little bit about an introduction to the study.
Right. So how good was it? Like, I mean, regarding your, the people who are participating in your research, how were they? Like, how was their reactions?
I mean, my study participants were students aged, I would say young people, 13 to 15 years old, who were scouts group. So they were regularly attending scout meetings every weekends. And as part of their scout activities, they had outings to nature places. So they go camping in the middle of the forest for 2-3 days. They go without electricity and just in nature. So that's part of their activities. And they also have to learn about their country and their environment. So taking them to Île aux Aigrettes was, to the nature reserve of my study, was quite linked to their activities. So I didn't have a lot of difficulties actually to get them to organize a tour over there.
All right. Okay, then let us get out from your research areas. And then, let us tell us about, more about yourself. Like, how do you spend your time? Like your free time?
Oh. Okay, yes, I was telling you about. Well, for the past 5 years, I had a young child, like a baby, and looking after him, going to work full time, and studying part-time was quite a challenge, and I almost didn't have any leisure activities. But I live in Mauritius. I have wonderful friends. So it's a tropical country, it's an island. So we are surrounded by the sea. So I really enjoy going swimming regularly when it's possible. So yes, now I was considering to start again Indian dance, Bharatnatyam.
Oh.
But I'm still, like, to be honest, I'm still lazy to join classes, but I will do it. Yeah.
Welcome. We wish you luck that you find that encouragement to go and join the classes.
Yes.
Well, let me invite Natasha. She is a friend of Bhamini, and well, let us hear from your friend about you. Natasha, are you there?
Hi all.
Hello.
Sorry, like I said, I won't be able to talk much.
Okay.
But yes,
Right.
I can just say that Dr. Bhamini is a wonderful, I would say, mentor, because it's been like 3 years now that I've joined Rajiv Gandhi Science Center. And since the day I've joined there, I can say that I've been really being guided in the right ways. And for me, it's like the first time that I entered the science field, because before I was really like into finance and administration. So when I entered the science field, I really got a really, really good mentor, and as well a good friend, a family at my work.
Yes.
All right. Thank you so much, Natasha. All right.
Thank you.
So, Dr. Bhamini, tell us about your future goal. What do you want to do in the future? Like, do you have anything in your mind besides your studies, your works?
Well, after a PhD now, I think it's a kind of mindset that is built up. So I really want to publish a few more papers which emanates from the PhD, but also in the work that I do as an informal science educator, I want to bring in more theories from the education sector, like from the field, more to build the programs more theoretically informed programs instead of just doing what we're used to be doing. Yeah, so that's kind of my plans. And enjoy the lack of stress. Yes.
All right. It does sound interesting because, yeah, just like you said, most of the time, whenever the schools or colleges, they actually have these, extracurricular activities, especially with the more like educational background. So it doesn't have any proper structure to it, right? People just go in the lines, like that's how I see in our country, like where for any kind of educational activity, or even while going for research programs, they just go in a queue and then prepare some questions and then find some answers, take some pictures, and then prepare a page or two, report. And that's it.
Yes.
So it's kind of like sometimes it's very stressful, I guess, because it's not very, properly structured and all.
Yes. Well, when students go to visit museums and science centers, like following my research and my background from science centers, we don't want students to come and read and then answer a set of worksheets at the end, because in terms of I'm more for the selling of a museum experience rather than just parrot learning or getting ready to complete the best answers first. So it's more about the developing the interest, triggering that love for science, because once you get that, and whatever challenge comes, whatever question you have, the students will automatically find their answers on their own.
Yes. So I'm pretty sure, like, if you come up with some sort of structure for these, it will be very, very helpful to anybody, like, I mean, especially for the museums from the natural history area, as well as, the communication centers, like they might have that ease in their work, as well as like more interaction with their visitors. Well, shall we invite Prakash, your colleague?
I don't know if he will be talking.
Okay, let me just, excuse me, Prakash, are you there?
He told me that he's going to connect, but he's busy, so maybe afterwards. Yeah.
Right, that is fine. Well, anyway, let us go back to your, the research itself. Can you actually tell us about what kind of findings you had with your research?
Okay, actually, I was talking about the theoretical framework. This is what I was talking about, the personal, physical, and social context. It's like the contextual model of learning, which relates to what we just talked about. What do students learn? Like it's based, like what do people learn is based on these three factors. And the other framework that I use for interest developing is the 4-phase model of interest development. Like interest can develop from triggered phase to well-developed interest. And I kind of integrated all these frameworks together. I think I talked about the methodology, about this is a nature reserve where visitors just roam around. It's a guided tour, and they walk around, and as they walk, they encounter different animal species and plant species. And then there is a small museum at the end with bronze model of extinct species of animals, etc. So this is the museum that I studied, okay, but it's a museum in nature, okay. And I was I prepared this, like the different kind of instruments that I use. So I had the interviews with students before, I observed during, and then after the visit as well. So we can talk about that. And these are some of the tools, I mean, the main tools that I used to to collect data. So this is a personal meaning map. I don't know if you have heard about this. It has been proposed by John Falk in the early 2000s, where the students, you just give them a central phrase, and before the visit, they write whatever comes to their mind, okay, in one colored pen, like blue pen, and then after the visit, they are handed back the map, and then they make additions. So it's a little bit like a concept map, but it's different because there is no correct personal meaning map. So it's personal meaning. So then we get to know what meaning the students have, the visitors have derived out of their visit. They liked it, they didn't like it, their feelings, and of course, their knowledge gained. And of course, as you can see, it's based on their prior knowledge, like because people don't come to museums like empty vessels. They already know something before coming. So this is how, through this tool, we can capture this kind of data. Okay. And second tool that I use is about autophotography and photo elicitation. So what is autophotography? Is you ask the visitors to take their own photographs. This is very common nowadays. They have mobile phones. And then I ask them to provide me 10 photographs, only 10, that best illustrates your experience of the visit. So what did you like the most about your visit? So I went through a like very rigorous method of categorizing the photos and then putting the photos back in front of them and interviewing them about the picture, the photo. So that's how I collected data. So this is some of the photographs, and at the same time, you can see the different parts of the guided tour, like what was present in the nature reserve. So you ask the question, what does the photo mean to you? And then you analyze these data, okay? So these are some of the animals, the endemic animals found on Île aux Aigrettes. The tortoise, this one is not endemic, but it's used there as an analog species. This is one of the extinct birds of Mauritius, a bronze model of the extinct birds. So this is how I collected data. And yes, what triggers situational interest among students? So from the photograph, what I found, there are several factors. So I found that impressive information about the exhibits, impressive information, when the information impresses them, they find it surprising, or it's a piece of knowledge that they couldn't even imagine that this exists. Mm-hmm. For example, we have a phenomenon of heterophyly in among the endemic plants in Mauritius, mm-hmm. where the leaves have red veins when they are still 30 centimeters tall. And then as they grow, the tree grows up, their morphology changes, the leaf shape changes. So that was quite, that was one aspect that triggered their interest to learn about, oh, the tortoise can live up to 150 years, which is an information that captivated their interest, information. The beauty of the place was another aspect. Mm-hmm. And then emotions, strong emotions. So I was surprised when I saw that bird, or I was very happy to see a pink pigeon in reality. I have always heard about it in books, you know. So these are the emotions and large sizes. And then some students were just enjoying the fact that they were there and learning something new. And this, it kind of relates on how these triggers were derived based on the photographs of the animals. So I categorize the triggers into two triggers of situational interest, like the affective triggers and cognitive triggers. So affective triggers is related to emotions, and cognitive because it is linked to learning. And what I found, which is a new aspect of the PhD, is that the novelty, the new visit and the new learning something new, and the new experience, the novelty of the situation was one of the factors that links the affective and the cognitive triggers of interest. So, people before me have identified the different triggers, but they couldn't really find how the linkages are. And this is one major finding of the study, that you cannot really dissociate the different triggers in a learning situation like a guided tour, in a nature reserve or in a museum environment. And second aspect research question was, what do they learn about biodiversity? I framed biodiversity learning into three: ecological literacy, biodiversity and society, and nature and self, which is more about their personal thoughts and opinion. And this is how, just going very quickly on it, how I kind of coded the personal meaning maps, inductive coding, etc. And what I found that there were new learning after the visit, like technical biodiversity stuff after the visit, like there were new concepts that emerged from the interviews, okay? sex differentiation, fertilizers, the dung of tortoises fertilize the soil, the concept of heterophily, overexploitation, and a little bit linked to conservation. And what I did, I found also there were different kinds of answers that students gave, different kinds of knowledge, both before and after the visit. It's not like a school situation where there is a syllabus and you expect them to know things. So we cannot control the prior knowledge. We cannot. And it's challenging to investigate that when you are from the museum sector. So I found different kind of knowledge for different questions before and after the visit. So the depth and the level of detail provided were different. For example, there were knowledge 1, where the student does not show any awareness of anthropological activities. Knowledge 2, where they demonstrate awareness, and level 3, where they give their opinion, like they can critique. So it's like different kind of awareness levels. Okay, so I attributed knowledge scores before and after. So some people started here and ended here. Some started here and ended here. So that's a bit of the challenges when you investigate learning in informal sector. And this is the kind of range for the average scores that I get for the different students. So some students already knew more than others, and some, but everybody learned something. Everybody exited with more knowledge than before. Okay. But then when you look at the change, okay, the difference between here, it's like 0.2, 0.3, and here it's 0.5, the net gain 0.4. So the net gain in knowledge does not vary much. Okay. So that means that it doesn't mean if you start with more knowledge, you will gain a lot of information or you will learn a lot more than those who knew less. Okay. So this is an important finding. And then, yes, there were change, because as practitioners, we want to make impact. We want people to come to our museums and exit with, to know more, right? So yes, there was increase in, like for the group, and increase in understanding of the term itself, biodiversity, and the importance of conservation. They knew more about extinct and endemic species, because before entering, nobody was mentioning the different birds or plants that are endemic to Mauritius. And afterwards, this knowledge increased. And then there was that opinion, formulating opinion about biodiversity, which increased. And there were more emotional concern for nature. Okay, and how did they learn was another aspect of the study, like is the learning deep, is the knowledge restructuring strong or weak? So this is the framework that I use, the human constructivist framework and affective learning. We can discuss more about that. And this is a weak form of knowledge restructuring as per the human constructivist framework. And the weak forms of knowledge change was more common compared to here, stronger forms of knowledge restructuring. But even if this was more frequent than the strong ones, they form the basis for the stronger ones to occur. So we cannot say that learning in museums is a superficial. Yes, superficial episodes of learning is more frequent, but deep forms of learning do occur as well. And yes, so I tried I superimpose the different triggers of interest with the different kinds of knowledge restructuring. And what we found that impressive information, when the information impresses them, it is more likely to lead to strong forms of learning. So that's briefly about the findings. And then I came up with some models, etc. So we can discuss about this. And then I have my recommendations. I'll talk about this later if you want.
All right, sure. Thank you so much for sharing all your, the research setups and everything. So the framework actually looks very interesting, but also very challenging too. Anyway.
Yes. Yes. There are different frameworks in learning, but I had to find the one which was most appropriate and for the context. Yes. So the human constructivist, I have not seen a lot of papers published on that one. There are, but not many. And probably I need to put something out on this one.
So what, other topics you are interested? Like you said, you would like to have more publications, well, related with your PhD now, but, if you have to go beyond your PhD topics and all, do you have any topics in your mind?
Yes, actually, I have few ideas about projects to show the impact of the science center programs, because we do have a lot of science center programs. Like we had recently launched a competition with like hundreds of students participating, like project-based learning competition. We launch contest, and then we have a jury. The students participate, they mount projects, they come and display at our center, and then we are very happy. We have very happy organizers with a large number of participants, and we get the prizes, and the jury are happy, everybody's happy. But I'm more interested in what impact have we made on the student. So in terms of their attitude towards science, in terms of their learning, in terms of the skills that they have acquired, and how they are going to use that for a longer time period. So these are kind of some projects that I might have.
Sounds very interesting. Yeah. Well, most of my questions are actually already done. So I would like to invite our chief guest to interact with you. And if he has, any questions or any recommendation for you, then yeah, I would like to invite him to share all of these. So, well, let me invite our chief guest, Dr. Rafaqat.
Yes, I'm here.
All right, Dr. Rafaqat. So he is, to introduce him, he is a curator at Pakistan Museum of Natural History, and he is engaged on the conservation and management of biodiversity research. So I think you both have a lot of things in common. All right,
yeah,
please.
Good to hear about from Bhamini about her projects and all the details. I'm quite interested about the Mauritius, because several of our endemic lineages or endemic species on which I work, they are from Mauritius. And perhaps these islands, they have always been a place of endemism for several species, including plants and animals. So as for the topic is concerned, like Dr. Bhamini has done a wonderful job. It is really like when we are at the museum, we try to work a lot on the research aspect of the science as compared to the science communication that is often done in the Western part of the world, like not in our part. This science communication is altogether lacking, or maybe if there is, so it is less incremented than what we have seen from the West. So as far as informal learning is concerned, yes, this is one of the main theme that one should have at the science centers and museums. And what the Bhamini has done is to bring about several frameworks and different sort of learning techniques, and to get them assorted and analyze them at a proper channel. So as for the topic, there is no question with me, but I would ask from Bhamini that what do you suggest? What is the low number of students opting biology in Mauritius? Like this is the same situation is in other parts of the world, that biology is quite less opted than the other subjects. So this is one important thing that I would like to ask from her perspective and experience. The other is there is this personal meaning maps, and Ace Shopley aptly told that there are different personal meaning maps for every student or every participant. So is there any way to overcome this personal meaning maps, or to structure them in a way that these personal meaning maps should have one balanced and uniform position? I don't know if that could be done, these personal meaning maps things. So I think this is all for that time. So can you ask Bhamini? I can ask Bhamini to.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Dr. Rafaq. Yes, Bhamini.
Yes. I am just opening one. Yes, good. One presentation to answer the question. Yes, so yes, the low number of biology, number of students opting for biology is really critical, with like less than 2% of those sitting for A-level in Mauritius opting for biology. And it is critical. And I think there is a lot of communication that we need to do about it for various reasons. Last year, we had a workshop, teacher workshop, to discuss about the question. And one point that was raised is that students perceive biology as a difficult subject. And they have the misconception or the misinformation, misunderstanding that subjects like accounts and economics are more easier compared to biology, which is not true actually, because we sit for Cambridge exams and the workload and the bulk is the same for all subjects to attain a level. So there is a communication that needs to be done. And then there is probably, we need to find how to change the way of teaching. Instead of just lecturing or getting students to learn large amount of information by heart, and introduce more project-based learning, get their interests triggered, develop that critical mind and logical thinking, more inquiry-based learning instead of delivery mode. So there is a communication that I think we all should do about that aspect for biology. But then it's not only, it doesn't only depends on us in terms of their subject choice. It's also now we have more attractive careers in entrepreneurship, in businesses. They think there are more the jobs in the financial sector or tourist sector are better, are more lucrative and better paid. So there is a limit into what we can control and influence. But from my side, I would say more communication in terms of what are the affordances of studying biology at higher classes. And yes, to get to the second question regarding the personal meaning maps. So I am just sharing this presentation I presented in a conference during the PhD. No, there is no correct personal meaning map. This is the essence of a personal meaning map. It is what I have been in a museum gallery. What does this mean to me? It is really informal learning. It is not, there is no syllabus or whatever. But what happens with a personal meaning map, the advantage is that you can get to know about the prior knowledge of the visitors. Even if that prior knowledge is different, there is a method of analyzing it. So I didn't talk about this, but here it is. I counted like what are the number of correct words that they write on their maps before the visit, and what are the additional words that they write after the visit. So this is about vocabulary enrichment. So we can assess or measure their vocabulary enrichment. And then what are the conceptual addition that they made before and after the visit. So this is how I coded it. And then I also analyzed the personal meaning map through a qualitative analysis. And these are some way of getting results. You cannot get them to do a correct personal meaning map, but you can have a rigorous way of analyzing the personal meaning map. So that's my answer to that question. Yes, I think, yes, that's
yes,
it about,
yes,
yeah.
So Dr. Rafaqat, are your questions answered?
Yeah, that's quite fine.
All right.
From my side.
All right. Thank you very much.
I have submitted a paper for publication on that aspect. So once it is published, I will be happy to share.
Thank you, Bhamini.
Thank you so much. Please share us your link or whatever you can find for us, like in the Messenger group. I think you are friends with us, right?
Yes, of course.
All right. So that will be like a very, very nice. Yeah. Now I would like to invite our special guest, Dr. Sabir Amir. So he is associate curator in the Pakistan Museum of Natural History, and he is a marine biologist and also the member of ICOM Pakistan. So welcome, Sabir. Dr. Sabir, are you there?
Yes, I am here.
Yes.
From my side, only congratulations for PhD and a wonderful talk and
Thank you.
a lot of success in her career. This is from my side.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sabir.
Yeah,
So with this, we have come to the question and answer session. So I would like to introduce our participants so that they can interact with you properly. So we have Aditya Banerjee. So Aditya, he is from India. By profession, he is an archaeologist and he belongs to ICOM India. We have Bhuma Dastandev. So she is from Mongolia and she belongs to ICOM Mongolia. We have Ozma Bhatti. She is an artist from Pakistan and she belongs to ICOM Pakistan. We have Prakash. So Prakash is the friend of Bhamini. I don't know much about this, but then he is a colleague of hers. And
actually,
right.
Mr. Prakash is an artist and he is responsible for the design aspect at our science center.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I would love to have a talk with him in future days.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So we have Shivani Banerjee. So she is a museologist and she's from India and she belongs to ICOM India. We have somebody, but I actually don't recognize him. Ramaswamy.
Yes.
I guess.
Ramaswamy is my uncle.
Oh,
so,
hello, uncle. Namaste. All right.
It's very hot in Mauritius, so
that is fine. So next we have Professor Dr. Dhan Kumar. So he is from Nepal and he belongs to ICOM, ICOM Nepal, and well, he's the vice president of ICOM Nepal and he's the chairperson of National Ethnographic Museum of Nepal. And final, like last but not the least, we have Mohammad Akhtar Javed sir. So he belongs to ICOM Pakistan, and not just that, he is actually, the member of the expats of the ICOM board member too. So with this, I would like to open the panel for interaction, and I would like to invite Aditya for the interaction with Dr. Bhamini. Aditya, are you there? Yes, you are muted actually. Well,
Okay, just tell me about the colonization time of Mauritius. Which one was better, the French or the British?
Okay, I can't really answer this question because I'm born in independent Mauritius. So, but I can tell you about the colonization. I think I did speak about that in one of the past, in the conference, ICOM conference, and I linked to biodiversity. So Mauritius was an isolated island and visited by the Portuguese and the Dutch in the 16 and 1700s. And the Dutch started cultivating the land and destroying the biodiversity with deforestation and the introduction of invasive species. And we lost the dodo, which is the iconic bird, symbol of extinction, and several other species of animals, of birds in Mauritius during the Dutch period. And after that, the French came and settled in the island and colonized the island. They developed the island as from the 1700s until the 1800s. And that's how we have that French influence. You will have very nice colonial buildings, which are from the French period. They brought in the slaves from Africa to work in Mauritius. So that's how now we have people from African descent in Mauritius. And then during the British period in 1810 was the year when the British captured Mauritius from the French. And then we have been under British administration. But the French still stayed here. They had still their economic power, and the British had the administrative power. And that's when they brought indentured laborers from Asia and Chinese people from Asia and China. That's how I came to be here. And then in 1968, we got our independence from the British. So that's how Mauritius came to be like this culturally, in terms of how I can speak French very well. And our newspapers are in French. Our mother tongue Creole is a blend of French and English and Bhojpuri words, Hindi words. And because we come from India, we are very much connected with India, China, and Pakistan in terms of our Asian languages, in terms of the food, in terms of the Bollywood films that we watch, sing and dance. So yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Aditya, I think your question has been answered, right?
Yes, yes.
All right, thank you so much for the question. Now I would like to invite Osma Bhati to interact with Dr. Bhamini.
Thank you, Meena. And Dr. Bhamini, very nice. And your research is so great and very informative for us. But it's not science is not my subject, but as an artist, I draw nature and always animals in my paintings. It's amazing. We close to the nature as always, but your research is so informative, and mind mapping is very excellent to for me to understand your research. Is that's amazing.
Yes, thank you. Actually, well, the research is about learning in museum environment, in museum or informal environment, and I chose biodiversity and science, but using the same tools like photo elicitation or personal meaning map. you can have the same tools administered in an art museum, because this personal meaning maps has been used in exhibitions where they assess learning about minerals and gems. So it's like a tool for museum specialists and museum people, and you can investigate different topics of learning.
Yeah. And I also ask you emotionally people how to react in your museum visit and your in the nature. Can you tell us anything about the emotional understanding?
Okay, so you're talking about the PhD one.
Yeah.
Okay, so it was this was very challenging in this research because it was a guided tool. Okay, so the students will walk around and they will listen to the guide. So when I was doing the field observation, it was difficult to see their reaction because they were scout students, so very disciplined. So you will not hear them interrupt the guide or shouting or exclaiming their emotional arousal kind of thing. So during the observation, I noted the exhibit stopping points where they will tend to ask more questions, or they will tend to stop for a longer time to take pictures. So these are the techniques that I use. But the emotional aspect came out more during the photo elicitation. So I presented the photo in front of them, and then you can ask them, so what were you thinking when you captured that photo? Why did you choose this photo? Why you chose this one and not the other? How were you feeling? So that's how we got that information about their feelings during the visit. So as a social science researcher, that photo elicitation and autophotograph, it has been used in research with people, with juvenile delinquent people, with male adolescents who hesitate to speak to the researcher. So the photo elicitation is a very good means for the social science researcher to extract this kind of information about the emotions.
Okay,
but you cannot tell them, tell me about your feelings directly. You have to go, to do the contour.
Okay. Thank you very much.
All right. Nice. So that's the difference between like a general people and researcher, right? Like nothing can be like, without the research perspective at all. All right.
Yes.
So now let me invite Dr. Buma. Madam Buma for interaction. Hello, Buma, ma'am.
Hello. It's
hello, Mrs. Buma.
Hello. First, I want to congratulate you with the doctor dissertation, and I see this is very new, difficult science to study learning process of the students. And can you tell more about your organization? What is it this organization, a scientific center situated near the ministry, or maybe related to the museum?
Okay, yes. Actually, it's two different things. Separate. This is separate. My research on that nature reserve is something very separate than what I do in my job. I work in a science center, which is under the aegis of the Ministry of Education. And but it is still related to informal learning. But for my research, I studied Îles Aigrettes Nature Reserve. So the translation is Aigrettes Island. which is a nature reserve. It is, you have to take the boat, a 10 minutes boat ride from the mainland Mauritius to reach there. It is protected by law. The plants and animals are protected by law. And the nature reserve is managed by an NGO, a local NGO, Mauritian Wildlife Foundation.
Okay.
Yes, so they do conservation work and also education work.
Okay. Also, you say that maybe your organization also researching the exhibition communication with the visitors, or how do you work? Your science center also doing this work, starting the communication between exhibition, display, and visitors, or this is doing in another organization?
Yes, actually, the core business of the science center is to provide this informal science education to the public. So they come to visit the exhibition. This is one aspect. And another aspect, we have school programs. So it's either in terms of organizing competitions for schools, we have seminars, workshops, have a scientist come and speak to students, have conferences just to promote science. So yes, we do. We also have a few teacher training on how to teach science creatively in classrooms kind of activities.
Okay, thank you. Very interesting.
Thank you.
Thank you, Buba ma'am. Now let me invite Shivani Banerjee. If you have any questions or if you'd like to say anything to Dr. Bhamini, please do so.
Hello, Bhamini.
Hello.
Firstly, congratulations for your doctorate. And I have one question for you. Dear, please, can you tell me the famous ghat, famous Mauritius ghat, which is was it a listeners camp or a labor camp?
Sorry, I couldn't hear you properly. The famous Mauritian?
Famous Mauritius, please can you tell me the famous ghat, famous Mauritius ghat, was it a prisoners camp or labor camp?
Okay. Are you talking about the Apravasi Ghat?
Yes.
Oh, okay. It's a UNESCO heritage site. That's how you know about it. Yes, the Apravasi Ghat is actually the place in Mauritius, in Port Louis, where the indentured laborers from India, where the ships accosted the island. So it is the place where they first set foot on the island. And this is the landing place. And this is why it is something which is very important to us. And now they have changed it and made a display, a museum kind of settings where they display the origins, like all the different relics or aspects of culture, Indian culture at that time, like different exhibits that people come, where people can come to visit. Yes.
Dr. Sabir, I think you were asking a question.
No, any question.
Oh, okay. All right, Dr. Bhamini, please continue.
Yes, so yes, so that's about the Apravasi Ghat. It's mostly about cultural heritage and the I'd call that indigenous knowledge. I have not visited it personally. I need to go, but I know that this is how it is. It's the place where the indentured laborers first landed in Mauritius. Yes.
Right.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Shivani. Now let me invite Dr. Dhan to interact with Dr. Bhamini.
Namaste, Dr. Bhamini.
Namaste. Namaste.
Perhaps you understand Namaste because you belong
Of
to
course.
Indian origin. So,
Yes, of course.
So actually, I was expecting about the museum, but anyway, let's you told about biology, about Mauritius. One thing I was about Mauritius and actually Fiji. These two islands I want to go once year, anytime, whenever it makes easy. So very interesting. Which you showed your picture in your presentation. Quite interesting. In fact, I didn't have to ask about the biology because I don't belong to biology. I'm not a biologist or a student of biology. So actually, in fact, what you told about the government system from the Portuguese to Dutch. But I want to hold the history of Mauritius, about the history of Mauritius, when it was started and people started to migrate over there, that is island. So slowly when Indian country from other part of the world, people came over there. So there is biodiversity and everything is very beautiful. It looks like that. Anyway, thank you very much for your presentation. Just tell me about the history of Mauritius. I want to know only. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Yes, so it was a bare land. I think we are 8 million years old or so. 8 million or 8 billion, I'm not too sure. So it was bare land covered with forest and animals, etc. And it was only in the 1600s that there are records of people coming to Mauritius. And it was the Portuguese the Portuguese. There were some talks about the Arabs visiting the country in the 1400s or so, but it's not true. So it started really in the late 1590s, 1580s. There's the Mauritius, Réunion Island, and Rodrigues Island. And the Portuguese came, and then they just had a port of anchorage and for food supply on their way from South Africa to Asia. Okay, and then later on the Dutch came, they found the island inhabited. So the Dutch came and they tried to settle, cultivate sugarcane and settled and established a settlement. But they didn't succeed because cyclones, and it was not profitable. And I don't really know what happened to the Dutch East India Company. It's related to that. And then the French came, they found an inhabited island, an abandoned island. The French came and they started developing the island. Like they started bringing more cultivation of sugarcane, tea, and the spices, developing the city, which is Port Louis. Okay, there is Maé de la Bourdonnais and Pierre Poivre. These are the main people. They started building roads, bring slaves to work on the island, etc. But then in 1810, the British and the French, they fought. There was a battle. There's the battle, if you want to Google about it, it's the Battle of Vieux Grand Port. And then there is the battle, there was another one in the north of Mauritius, and the British managed to take over the island from the French. Okay, But the French did not go away. A lot of them stayed in Mauritius. So they still have sugar factories. They were still running their factories. They were still running their businesses. And the British mostly, they also had businesses, of course, but they mostly had the administrative power, okay, to run the island. And during the British period, slavery was abolished in 1835, right? So they couldn't have slaves from Africa to come to work in the sugarcane fields. So that's how they brought the indentured laborers here from India to work in the sugarcane fields. And there were also some artisan, I can't call that, craftsmen, and Chinese people came and they set up businesses, okay, for trade, etc. So that's how we are now a country of multicultural origin. But what happened when indentured laborers came from India, from China, they managed to keep their culture. Okay, so we have temples, we have mosques, we have covils, we have churches, which are now built. And then we got our independence in 1968. And that's how we became to be independent Mauritius. But the tradition and culture and language, our way of dressing, it's really a mix of all these influences from different countries. Like yesterday, I had boiled noodles for lunch. And this morning I had paratha and butter, okay, and curry. And tomorrow I might eat biryani, which is mostly something of Urdu kind of influences for us here. So, and then I eat macaroni and pasta and gratin, you know about le French gratin. So we have that European touch, African and Chinese and Indian as well. Yeah.
Yeah, just I want to clear. Just you told 1400, 1680. Is that the date?
Yes, I say late 1600s.
Okay. This
yes.
Then before nearly 400 years. Oh.
Yes, around 400 years of human visits and settlements. Yeah.
Who took it over there from India? The people of
Sorry?
India. Who was ruling at that time when the Indians were taken away to Mauritius?
Oh, it was still I think it was the British because the British were colonizing India at that time. India was a British colony, I think so. That's how, because that same period, the people from India also went to South Africa and Mauritius and other islands as well.
Okay. What time is it now there?
It's 2:30 in the afternoon. So I'm 1 hour behind Pakistan.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Dan. Would Prakash like to say anything about Dr. Bhamini? I think he is on right now.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes. Apology for not being able to communicate earlier. I was a little busy. Yes. So I'm a colleague of Dr. Bhamini, and I know her very well since so many years. And but I actually came to know her better since we started working on 2 projects for which she and together with our team, we won Gold Award at the National Quality and Productivity Convention in Mauritius in 2018 and 2019, 2 consecutive years. 2 projects in which Dr. Bhamini was working got Gold Award at national level. And this is how we worked together on those projects. And this is where I came to know about her more. Okay. And also that same team went on to get a silver award in Tokyo at the international convention. And so these are some other merits she has. And this is why I feel very honored to be connected to her, to know her. And I think such type of forums will help not only me, but all people in this profession of museums and science centers to learn more. And it's a very good initiative, and I wish her best of luck and hope we get to work together in future with you also. And the research that she has been doing also is very unique as regards to informal learning. And it is something new for the museum sector, which can be explored more, and it will be beneficial for the museum, all the museums. So that's it from my side.
Thank you so much, Prakash. And well, yes, congratulations to both of you, Dr. Bhamini, as well as Mr. Prakash, for winning gold and representing your institutes and all, right?
Yes, actually, just wanted to add some of the graphs that you saw. I mean, not the graphs, the schema and diagram. The one with situational interest is Mr. Prakash's work. So, and I want to highlight this because, when you're doing research, your university is in another country, you don't have peers to talk about. This is very important to have friends who are doing research in your topic area, just the emotional support and the journey. And Mr. Jagaru has always been here to listen and to discuss how to present the data, what kind of way is better than the other. And yes, and he has an art and management background, while I have a science and education background. So it's a lot of very good interaction, a lot of fighting and diverging opinion, but always constructive, which is important as well.
All right. And artists are always very creative, right?
Yes.
All right. Thank you so much, Prakash. Now let me invite Mohammad Akhtar Javed sir for interaction with Dr. Bhamini. Javed sir.
Yeah, I'm there, but unfortunately, this connection is not stable. But I don't have to say much thing, but to thank Bhamini that she has given us so comprehensive lecture, the speech, presentation. That's wonderful. Everything was wonderful and very learning, definitely. So it was good that my colleagues from natural history was there, and also our participants. Most of them are cultural people, art people, and cultural people, and related to heritage. But this science, the presentation is so well that I believe that they have also understood it very well. So congratulations for your PhD, and we believe that we also that the ICOM Family Forum also have a hat with a golden feather in that. So because of your PhD. Then last time we had a lecture from Dr. Magwa, that was also very Nagwa from Egypt, that was also very nice. And she also did a PhD, very truly PhD, and then she celebrated with us. And thank you. You have also choose us to celebrate the PhD with us. So with these words, I will give it to Meena, with which she will close the things with your permission.
Thank you so much, Javed sir. Dr. Bhamini, if you have any messages or anything you would like to share. Yes.
Sorry, I interrupted you.
Yeah.
I have a one question. A small
yeah,
question.
sure, of course.
Dear, please tell me what is the traditional art and craft in Mauritius?
Oh. Well, I don't know much about the traditional arts and crafts, but I know that there are people who, which is related to biodiversity, they use the leaves of some of our plants, the pandanus plants, and let it dry, and then make baskets and baskets on that. But a lot of our arts are like imported because we are not a country with indigenous people. Everybody came from elsewhere. But there are two different forms of dances and songs which are quite for Mauritius, which is the Sega Dance. And the dance is about when it was from African origin. It was a means of communication by the slaves at that time, where they were not allowed to talk to each other because of their bosses, the French or the British people. So they were singing and dancing and passing on messages to their friends through the dances. So this is very Mauritian. And then we have Bhojpuri, the Bhojpuri aspect, because the language, the Hindi language, when the people came to Mauritius, so there had to be a means of communication between the indentured laborers and the French and the British. So it was like Bhojpuri is like a lot of Creole words and a lot of Hindi words as well. So it's not the 100% the same kind of Bhojpuri that you will have in India. And one of my friends is working on inscribing the Git Gawai in UNESCO Intangible Heritage. I know that this project, Git Gawai, is the Bhojpuri songs and dances that people do before the eve of a wedding. Like you have Sangeet in India. So the Git Gawai is something more like lower, like, you know, less festive, but very traditional for Mauritius.
Yes, yes. So many forms in this tangible cultural heritage and the treasure of heritage. So many songs which is related in which you describe the Sohar Sangeet and all these the marriage or these things of it. But I think this is the most important art and craft in Mauritius is the bamboo.
Yes,
Bamboo
also
art and
we
craft.
have the bamboo.
Yes, bamboo art and craft is the most popular.
Yes, because some people, I think, because of the origins from China, we do have people using bamboo for. They used to use the bamboo for huts when during the early years. Yes. And straw huts, etc.
Yes, and I think the painting, which is some reflection are going in the Mithila painting in Mauritius art.
Okay.
If I
I don't know, because I don't really know about the kind of paintings which are really traditional, which we can say it's traditional for Mauritius. But people, because of the influences from different countries, so we have different kinds of paintings and different from different origins. Yes.
Yes, yes. Thank you so much, Riti. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Shivani. Well, Dr. Bhamini, if you have any messages, or if you like to say anything to our attendees, our participants, then please do so.
Yes, I am. Well, I have already talked about this, and just to summarize, So because it's about the PhD and about me, so of course I started in early 2017, and this is when I finished and graduated. So it's a long process. This is how I was when I started. So he was putting me to sleep before I could. And this is while I was writing the final chapter. And this is the graduation. So he's turning 5 next week.
Wow.
So this is the kind of face that I had, like all the strenuous way of what it is. And I cannot leave this platform. It would be injustice if I don't thank ICOM, the Mauritian Wildlife Foundation, which collaborated with me. My participants, my good friend is here, Jessica Le Galland, who is the chief of this Scouts group, the university, and Samstay. Samstay is an organization similar to ICOM kind of organization, which really trains and support researchers like me. And just to finish, my supervisors, Professor Rolnik and Dr. Eunice here. This is us while we were staying together in an apartment during a conference time. So what I really enjoy is that they were guides and support, and that student and supervisor barrier kind of stuff didn't exist. We could joke and sing and dance and help each other and discuss about different issues. So yes, that will not have been possible without them. And of course, Mr. Prakash is here, my family, my good friends. So it's like a whole support structure. So thank you very much. And I really look forward to contribute more to ICOM in the future, like in whatever way, workshops, talks, and you are most welcome to Mauritius.
Thank you so much. And we will keep on bothering you, like you have already extended your hand. All right. So, well, with this, we have come to the end of our talk program. And before we go, I would like to request all the attendees to put their cameras on so that we can take photographs of today's session. All right. And well, when everyone is putting their cameras on, I would like to have, the final summarizing of the whole programs and all. Well, I have to say that, like, yeah, I need to extend my gratitude to our guest speaker, Dr. Bhamini Kamudu, for your abstract as well as your time. We have missed a little bit of the recording at first. So, about Dr. Bhamini, so she is from Mauritius, and she has been a science communicator at the Rajiv Gandhi Science Center in Mauritius. And she has been developing these science education programs for the center, which ranges from various contents. And she has an education, research, and biology, educational background. And she has recently completed her PhD from Wits University of South Africa. So that is about her short introduction. And yes, congratulations on receiving a PhD degree. And thank you so much for being with us. And also, our special thanks to our chief guest, Dr. Rafakat Masroor, our special guest, Dr. Sabir Amir from Pakistan, and to all our attendees for making this program lively and interactive. So today's Saturday, January 22nd, 2022, and this session is being recorded, and the links will be provided in our messenger group shortly. You can visit the link as well as share it with your friends and family. And I would like to inform you that our next informal talk program is being rescheduled. So any changes with the update will be, we will provide it through our messenger chat. So please keep on checking our messenger group for the next update. And with these closing remarks, I'm Mina Lama, member of ICOM Nepal and moderator for this informal virtual talk show. I would like to formally conclude the program. So wish you all good day and
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much.
Mohammed sir. Thank you, Meena, for this beautiful meet. Thank you so much.
Dr.
Right.
Khan.
And Dr. Dhan.
Right. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much.